look at the difference here in the timing. If you've been watching the past few days.
Position, and I say that to China directly. And it's only going to get worse for China. But I say it to China directly. Because of the tariffs, we're in an incredible negotiating position, and we happen to be taking in billions and billions of dollars. And we haven't taken in 10 cents from China. And the people that support me most are the farmers. Now, as I said, we've given the farmers $16 billion out of a much larger purse than that. But we're doing very well with respect to what we're doing. I do notice that, and it was on one of the important shows that I read it this morning someplace, that some companies, for their poor performance, are blaming tariffs, even though they don't mean that. They're just getting away with it.
Do you see a connection between what's going on in Hong Kong and the trade talks?
I do. The question was, do I see a connection between Hong Kong and what's going on in the trade talks? I think if it weren't for the trade talks, Hong Kong would be in much bigger trouble. I think it would have been much more violent. I really believe China wants to make a deal. If there's not a humane way of handling the problems, and I've let them handle it in a humane fashion. And believe that because of what I'm doing with trade, that's very much keeping down the temperature in Hong Kong. I think it's by written, because China wants to make a deal. I actually think China has to make a deal, but that's holding it down in Hong Kong. You understand that, right?
Fire Madeline Westerhout?
I think it was automatic. I don't say fire or not fire. And I really think she had a bad night. I think it was unfortunate. She said she was drinking. And the whole thing was very unfortunate. And I think the press is very dishonest because it was supposed to be off the record. But still, you don't say things like she said, which were just a little bit hurtful to some people. Oh, no, Tiffany is great. I love Tiffany.
Can you specifically state how you are preparing for
Well, I've said it. We have FEMA, we have first responders, we have tremendous law enforcement. We're working together with Governor DeSantis and the state. We're also, by the way, I have to tell you, Georgia is very much in this path also. Georgia could be very much affected. We're working with our great governor of Georgia. We have our top people there, and it's really been amazing. And I have to say, we've done a great job in Puerto Rico. We were totally ready in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, we got lucky. It missed Puerto Rico, but we were really ready in Puerto Rico, and we worked very well with government. You know, I have my issues with their government, but we worked very well. The new governor was on top of things, and we had a really great relationship with Puerto Rico. Fortunately, we didn't have to use what we had, but we were set to go in Puerto Rico. We were in great shape. Well, we're thinking about Florida evacuation a little bit too soon. People are getting ready. It may have to be evacuated. Sections may have to be evacuated. We'll probably make that determination on Sunday.
Mr. President, Polish government demands reparations from Germany for the Second World War. Do you support this demand, such demands?
Well, I think that's going to be between Poland and Germany, and I get along with them both. That's between Poland and Germany.
Are you concerned that you don't have a permanent FEMA administrator or a confirmed Homeland Security
No,
Secretary?
I like the word acting. I think acting is, as far as I'm concerned, to me is good. And if I like the people, I make them permanent. I have acting, and acting gives you flexibility that you don't have with permanent. So I'm okay with the word acting, but when I like people, I make them permanent, but I can leave acting for a long period of time.
Thank you, President Trump. Many studies have shown that legal access to marijuana results in less opioid abuse and fewer overdose deaths. Many states have legalized marijuana. Do you think that it will happen federally during your presidency?
Well, we're going to see what's going on. We're allowing states to make that decision, and a lot of states are making that decision, but we're allowing the states to make that decision. I think it's terrible. I think those allegations are absolutely terrible.
Are you still hopeful that the USMCA will happen?
Well, USMCA has become very popular. That's our deal with Mexico and with Canada. Unions are liking it. Farmers are loving it. Manufacturers are really liking it. It really means that we're not going to be losing companies to Mexico and Canada. Probably elsewhere if you figure it, when you look at it a certain way, but they're not going to be moving very quickly to Mexico, Canada anymore. The USMCA is a very important deal. I think it's going to be a very bipartisan deal. I hope Nancy puts it out. I can tell you many Democrats will be voting for it if it's put up for a vote. If it's not put up for a vote, I think it's a very bad thing for our country. It's a very diligently, very hard negotiated deal. We got the approval from Mexico. They voted. Canada's ready to vote. They've essentially approved it. And we are waiting for a vote. And Nancy Pelosi, I think, will do the right thing. I really do. And as I...
You're watching the President Trump there making a statement about Hurricane Dorian. We'll get back to that momentarily. First, we have some breaking news to tell you about right now out of Texas. We've been tweeting this out on our Channel 1 Atlanta Twitter feed. We understand that there's been an Amtrak train derailment in Liberty County, Texas this evening. We understand that 19 people are being treated for minor injuries at this time. This coming from the Liberty County Sheriff's Office. The Amtrak train was apparently the front of the locomotive on the train jumped the tracks. So that's the very latest that we know on that. Again, an Amtrak train, a passenger Amtrak train, has derailed in Texas and Liberty County. 19 people have been injured for minor injuries. No fatalities reported. Stay with us for further updates on that. Let's go back now live to the president. This is Channel 1 Atlanta.
Probably 3.6% African American, Hispanic American, Asian. We're talking about in the history the best job numbers we've ever had. This very day, I just heard a number. Almost 160 million people are working, the most ever in the already very close to a new record. We're not very far from the record. We've had very good days in the last week, but if the Fed lowered the should, the fact is they went up way too fast. Of tightening, to double.
EMAC on high water and for DOD on high water, and obviously we have air assets as well, and I think we're also asking for swift water rescue as well.
Governor, your comment about the guardsmen that are leaving their jobs again to serve the state, and you're hoping that their employees honor the law by allowing them to do that without penalty. Was that just a message, and you're hoping they do that, or are you seeing that, or?
We have received reports that some of the calls to service were not as received warmly by some private employers, and it may have just been a misunderstanding. But I think it's important just to be very clear about what the state law is and what the state policy is, but also just to shine light on the fact that you got guys that have been away for 3 weeks training. Now they're told to get back in the saddle. We should be thanking them for doing that and not giving them grief at their jobs.
Governor, just as you have put so many people here, and we've got the Emergency Operations Center manned, each of us in our newsrooms have newsrooms that are ready to be engaged in this as well. And one of the things that we need is good and constant real-time information. But your staff has not allowed us to get access to the information that is coming out of here from the briefings. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to open that up and make it accessible so that we can deliver information swiftly to the public as you have it.
Well, I'm not sure what information you're talking about. I mean, Jared is pushing out a lot of information. You know, obviously, if they're meeting and they're trying to make determinations on policy internally or figuring out how to use resources, you know, not all of that is necessarily ripe for a public airing in a public setting. And I think that that's, if that's the case, I mean, I know that...
I understand that. It's just that under the Jeb Bush administration, when we had nearly a dozen hurricanes in that time period, they always opened up the briefing, and the briefing is just a straight up presentation of the information that they've accumulated at 8:30 and 6 p.m. All we want to do is to be able to hear that in real time, and it's
So
not
that's
because
Jared's briefing, or whose briefing are you talking
it's
about?
the briefing right behind you. That's why we have this room here. That's the precedent that's been established, and we're just...
Well, we'll look at it. I mean, quite frankly, that's not been my top concern, just given all the stuff that's going on. So I'll talk to him, and we'll well, look, I appreciate the role, but I also I understand, you know, some of the issues that go with these. I think we've had history in the state of folks who believe a lot of the stuff that we're saying about the danger is overblown. And I think that there's been a cost to that. I'm not saying it's your fault, but I just think generally so. But I'll look at it. It wasn't any policy I did. I think that's just kind of how it's been set up. And I'll talk to Jared and we'll let you know. But I mean, generally speaking, if there's information that the public needs, we want to get it out to people. I mean, that's a no-brainer in my judgment. All right, thanks. We're going to be here tomorrow morning. We'll see you guys.
Okay, that's the very latest from Florida government. The governor there made several frequent updates today. Of course, this is going to be a major impact, as you're seeing a live satellite view now of Dorian as it approaches the Bahamas in Florida this evening. This is going to be a major impact on the state of one way or the other, whether if it makes direct landfall, what we're expecting at the moment, somewhere at or near West Palm Beach, Florida, or if it stays just off the coast. Still impacts expected along eastern Florida from Jacksonville to Fort Lauderdale. So let's get some more updates from government officials right now in Florida. This is Channel 1 Atlanta, live Storm Watch.
This upcoming Labor Day weekend represents for many the bookend of the summer of 2019. Officers and residents have worked hard over the last several months to ensure a safe and enjoyable season. And I'm very proud of their commitment and dedication. As a matter of fact, this past summer saw the lowest levels of violence since 2014. But obviously that's not good enough. We still have far too many families victimized by senseless violence, and while progress is being made, we're nowhere near where we need to be in terms of creating a culture of accountability for those who are recklessly engaging in gun violence. Now, I will say that I'm optimistic about the road ahead. We had a very good gun stat meeting yesterday that lasted for more than 2 hours. Everyone in that room, from the U.S. Attorney, State's Attorney, state police, and federal partners, share our commitment to making Chicago a safer city. Participating agencies provided input on what ways to strengthen the quality of CPD's investigations and bring...
We apologize. That's a news conference. Got the wrong feed there for a briefing there in the Chicago area. So we will try to get out of this if we can. Again, this is live TV. This is Channel 1 Atlanta live Storm Watch. There we go. And so as we